Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Chen. Welcome to Esalen Live, and we're here to chat with change agents. I'll introduce our guest in just a bit. We swim deep waters here, and then we also wander around the edges just a little bit. Today, we observe a new moon and wanted to bring you a creative afternoon of nourishment and illumination. We're so excited to welcome Sarah Tomlinson. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Christine.
So good to see you. Just so
You
you know a
too.
little bit about Sarah, she's an internationally acclaimed yantrika. She's one of the few qualified in the West to talk about yantras and teach about yantras. She was in the original graduating class of Jivamukti Yoga in New York City, and she studied yantras with Harish Johari in India. She is the author of Coloring Yantras and the creator of the Yantra Bliss Oracle deck. So excited to have you. What is the significance of the new moon, Sarah, and Amun Yantra?
Yeah, new moons and new beginnings. It's nice to have this opportunity to begin again. A new moon is a chance to begin again. Kind of like a New Year's resolution, but we get to do it every new moon, every 28 days, 28, 29 days.
And what does that do to the spirit to be
Mm.
able to restart, to start again? What's that like?
It's really a reset. It's actually a moment of listening. So you get a chance to let go of things that are not working. And it's like pause. So you pause and listen to what you might want to start working on in the coming months. So it's like a
Mm.
month by month intention setting moment. It's very powerful. It's like there's a lot of intuitive energy around the new moon. So if you actually pause and listen, it can really send you in a new direction.
That's awesome. Well, I wanted to share the Moon Yantra. Can you see the Moon Yantra, Sarah?
Yes, I can.
This is the Sarah Yantra Moon Yantra. Can you explain the
Hmm.
significance of the petals and the colors? And as we gaze at it, we might even feel nourished and illuminated.
Yeah, so this is an ancient practice, this sacred geometry, and yantras come from mantras. It's an ancient Himalayan tradition, northern India. And from each mantra, so the moon has a mantra, a sound, came this yantra, this pattern. And by coloring this pattern on the new moon, so I'm actually here with you also with my coloring pencils, maybe you have yours. I am coloring the shape and honoring this energy of the moon to really align with it. So I can really
Mm.
receive that intuitive, hit for this month and empty and attune and center myself. So I'm going to work with this specific yantra today. And maybe some of you also have the outline and you're going to start working with it. The significance of the colors is to do with the gemstone that is harmonized by the energy of the moon, and that is the pearl. So the moon actually is very shimmery. If you think about a pearl, it's like pearlescent, right? The colors. So there's silvery, lavendery, shimmery, pink, blues, grays. Those are the colors that are here in this yantra. It's a very soothing, nourishing feeling you get by working with those colors.
Mm. And very yin, if I might say so,
It's
that
very yin,
feeling.
it's very inward, it's very self-care, cooking, cleaning, kind of massaging the body, taking time for reflection. So it's a very restoring kind of yantra.
Mm. I think one way to really understand just like the effect of the colors is to contrast this with the sun yantra,
Mm,
which I just switched the
I
screen to show
know,
the
it's like you
sun.
took me
It's a
out.
totally different feeling, right?
Yeah, you took me out of my meditation cave for a second.
Sorry.
Out of my spa day having over here. Yeah, the sun is time to get out there, to be successful, to go ahead and do things, to get creative, to include people, to be very much actively going. So it's very different energy. So what might happen is during the new moon, you may get ideas as to where you might want to go. And then as the moon grows, you might actually draw on some of these other energies and start to work with different yantras to
Hmm.
energize and magnify the thing you're working on. So this would be more for magnification, this sun. So you want to have an idea of what you're magnifying, right, before you magnify it. Hmm.
Very good. So I wanted to show that this is the outline, and on the link to this Facebook
Yeah.
post and this Facebook Live, there is a downloadable link, and hopefully you've done this already. This is the Moon Yantra that we're going to start coloring, and we're going to keep talking about the Moon Yantra as we start to color. So Sarah's got one going already, and we've got a
I've
different
been
shot of it right now. So go, let me just give me a second to get it going. And
I've been working on this already today. I feel like I'm on a cooking show, something I started earlier today. And so I'm just going with it. It's very meditative to be coloring. Sometimes I'm painting, sometimes I'm coloring. And there's just enough precision that it really puts you in the moment. So yeah,
is
go
that
ahead.
the way that it makes us more aware of how we live each day? Is that as we are precise in coloring? I mean, this is something we did so much as kids, but as adults, we don't necessarily do this much. So can this be like a full family affair where everyone just attunes to the moment? Can you
Yeah,
fill that out
sometimes
for
we
us?
have family yantra coloring parties, and it's so nice because it's that kind of communion. It's like everybody, maybe if everybody sang around the piano, or
Mhm.
everybody chanted or sat around the bonfire. It's definitely some kind of ritual people can do together and very uplifting. But unlike coloring just a random pattern, each yantra is very specific. So it's like you're invoking the blessings of the deity. So it's actually a spiritual
Wow.
practice. So the deity,
Wow.
Mr. Moon, is blessing you by entering the portal. So the gates, see these outer gates in the yantra, the square? These are the gates into the sacred portal, which is known as the yantra, and it holds the energy and is focusing the energy of a specific quality that you might need to be reminded of. So say you needed a little bit of reflective self-care time, it's a very specific, it's almost like a remedy or a medicine to work with this yantra. It's not just coloring for the sake of coloring, it's coloring something that's going to give you some blessings and some more self-awareness. It's
Sarah, does it
amazing.
matter if we start on the outside? I noticed you're moving from the outside into the center. Is this the way that you would do a moon yantra? So to evoke an inward quality versus would you start in the middle for a sun
Hmm.
yantra and radiate, or does it even
Yeah,
matter?
generally with these yantras, we start at the outside actually. I'm
Mm.
just working with a few different colors here, really to help people watching see how this is going to go. But usually I start at the outside and I'll spiral in. And the idea is you're breaking off from the external world and you're slowly spiraling into your inner world. And the very center is like that deepest connection to your spiritual center. So it's very stilling to make a
I love
yantra.
I love that. And how does this connect truly to reminding us of our potential or positive qualities? Is it that feeling of really getting centered with yourself?
Usually I see it as more about remembering something. So what happens is we're so busy running around trying to adapt to society, trying to do what everyone else is doing, trying a little bit too hard is taking you away from yourself. So what happens is we have all this potential inside ourselves. We don't actually really need to take another seminar to learn about why someone else has got potential, right? So
Hmm.
as a practice like this, especially with these specific remedies, these specific qualities, they're going to remind you of that quality that you have. So say you get used to say you only wear, I'm wearing white today, but say you only wear white, right? You might suddenly start to identify with yourself as being this white wearing person, kind of
Hmm.
narrow lens. And when you start to work with the different yantras, it's like suddenly wearing different colors. It's like you see different qualities in yourself, so different areas of potential that maybe you haven't been exploring. And it's not that they're outside you, it's like you have this wealth of richness within you, and you're starting to eke it out, get it out of you through color. It's a little bit like color therapy in that way.
Hmm. Well, as we get back to the yantra, you're, by the way, you're moving at a pretty quick pace here, I feel like anyway. It would take me a lot longer to get as far, I think. Does it matter the pace with which we fill in the yantra?
Yeah, it's the quality of attention. I remember spending 3 days once with my teacher studying, making the simplest yantra. So No, it doesn't matter at all. It's just a practice, you know, it's like a yoga practice. It's probably like a yoga practice is really for people who are more visual.
Mm. And speaking of the healing properties, you mentioned a little bit earlier, like I don't know, minute or two ago, that there's a healing response, just even looking at the colors and the shape of the yantra and the harnessing of the energies and moving inward. Can you dive a little deeper into the healing response of working with yantras?
Yeah, people are usually drawn to a certain yantra. So usually I don't suggest the yantra they work with. I have them pick the yantra they're going to work with. It's like they
Hmm.
choose the remedy that's just really calling them.
Hmm.
And it's usually to remind them of some aspect of themselves that they've lost touch with. Oftentimes
Hmm.
it's their main MO. Or sometimes, again, we keep trying to compare ourselves to others and fit in somehow to be like everybody else, and we forget about our unique qualities and what we have to offer. So the sense of your life purpose, there is very specific yantras for your life purpose. For example,
Hmm.
recently I had this woman, she picked Mars, right? And I do these charts also. The charts go along with the yantras in these consultations. And it's an Ayurvedic astrological chart. And Mars was her Dharma. So I said, it's interesting you picked Mars. Mars means you have to be the warrior, you have to work towards something you feel really passionate about. How are you doing that in your work? And then she was kind of quiet and she said, I really haven't been doing meaningful work lately. I've just been working to make money and I've lost, I just don't feel good about myself, all this stuff. So we had her working with the Mars Yantra, and she just all of a sudden was calling in all this work and getting invited to be engaging and creative and all these things she felt passionate about. And I don't know, it's really powerful. The one that you're calling is the one is the aspect within yourself that you somehow have lost touch with.
Hmm.
And then you start to
So
work with it, and it's amazing.
when you talk about working with the yantra,
Mm,
and you mentioned that she pulled a Mars
Mars, yeah.
yantra, you pull it from a deck or
Well,
be
she was drawn
attracted
to
to
it.
the.
She was drawn to it in a grouping that I was showing her.
So she was
Mm.
drawn to it. So when you're drawn to a yantra, does it usually mean that there's some healing that's
Mm.
involved in your need to explore that?
Mm. Yeah, it's like a little hole in, like a blind spot in your being, and you're drawn to the thing that's going to reveal what's in that space. And then by
Hmm.
working with it, sometimes people literally have a colored one and they sit and meditate with it every day and gaze at it. Sometimes people will create it, draw it, paint it, color it, but they'll spend time with it and they'll say the sound that goes with it. So with the moon, I would be chanting chum. Chum is the sound that goes with the moon yantra. So it's like
Hmm.
Om Chum, Om Chum. So the sound and the coloring, they're going to be waking up something inside you.
So cool.
Hmm.
Let's check in with your yantra and the progress of that so far.
Lots of
Um,
blues.
lots of blues. Yeah, I really
Hmm.
get that, the blues and the silvers. What inspired you to embrace the yantras? Was there a personal breakthrough for you in working with them that said, oh, I have to share this work?
I was already an artist and I was already deeply involved with yoga. And when I discovered yantras, I was so happy because I got to do my art, artistic expression,
Hmm.
and I got to keep working with the energy that had started to just be the main focus of my life, right? The spiritual practice. So I think really that was just compelling in itself. And I felt like I had to do more and more and understand it more and more. And then the teachings and the lessons and the emotional healings I had with them almost surprised me. When I went in, I think I thought it was going to be more artistic, a meditation practice, more artistic. But actually, it became very healing, like through relationships and things like that. And I started to see these emotional, psychological benefits of working with yantras. And that's also been really compelling. So I feel like I have a spiritual practice, an emotional therapy system all at once.
So rich in history too. Can you fill us in a little bit more on the history of the yantras and how they sit in modern life today? You mentioned a woman working with them in meditation and coloring, but they're not widely known. I make the joke that yantras are the new crystals, and soon that everybody is going to find out much more about them. But can you fill us in a little bit more
I
about
think
the
you're
history?
right. I really do think yantras are the new crystals. And
Mhm.
really, yantras are the old, yoga. So they're said to have come about a few thousand years BC, 2 to 4,000 BC, when the rishis were like the wise people who had one foot on the earthly realm and one foot or wing in the celestial realms. And they are the ones that understood the truths, understood the way the universe worked, and they heard the mantra sounds and they brought teachings down to, people. They're the ones who, when they heard the sounds, saw the shapes of the yantras at the same time. So they're very specific, and they've been found in different parts of India, exactly the same diagrams for exactly the same mantras. So it's a very kind of unusual, but at the same time specific remedy practice.
Can we look at how far the yantra has come so to this point, right? So we're starting to really
Hmm.
move toward the middle here. As I'm thinking about this moon yantra, do we choose to work with yantras on specific celestial days, or is it like what you said before, there's something that you are drawn to? Or
Yeah.
maybe you're not drawn to one thing and someone suggests like maybe you can work with this and it's the opposite of what you would normally do, so it's maybe an opposite healing effect. Is there that as well, or is it just really anything?
It really is anything. There is there are some schools of tantra. So tantra is yantra and mantra, the two practices together, like we did earlier with charm and coloring. So there are some schools of tantra where they'll be very systematic about the mantras and the yantras you'll do in a specific order to basically work through the chakras, to be like grounded, and then work through opening the navel and the heart center and then the third eye and then the top of the head. So there are very systematic ways of working. There's also having a guide or a teacher. There's also having your own intuitive way in. So there really are many ways of working with them.
Sarah, what brings
Mm.
you a sense of awe and wonder? Because my thought on this is when you first started working, it was like mind blowing for yourself, and now you're guiding other people on this in this path
Mm.
of yantras. There must be moments where you're blown away by the impact that it has on people. You mentioned the one woman. Are there more ways that just bring you awe every single day with the yantras?
It's so fun to see other people getting lit up by them. Yeah. I mean, that's the main thing. And it reminds me of when I first used to practice yoga, and then I would teach somebody, and then I'd see them in Shavasana at the end of class, and they just looked happy and relaxed and, connecting to a deeper part of themselves. So not everybody's going to be doing yoga asana. So I see the same kind of joy and the same kind of very tangible life shifts happening for people. All of a sudden, they decide to dress up again, or all of a sudden they're playing again in their life, or they've tapped into their creativity, or it's really fun to see the ripple of not only them enjoying the practice, but also what's happening in their lives as a result. So yeah, it's a real, I love it. Obviously,
It sounds like there's a lot of
yeah.
aha, mind blown moments when you do
Mm.
this type of work.
Yes, because of that blind spot thing. It's like you really hit on something that they've forgotten and it's something inside them. Yeah,
That's really
it's
cool.
cool.
Uh, well, I so appreciate you sharing this time with us as you keep coloring. Will you finish this one today?
Yes, now I'll finish it and then I'll have it out for a bit and it'll be reminding me and I'll listen to what the intention was and then by the next new moon I'll be on to the next one.
That's fantastic.
Mm.
Sarah Tomlinson, Yantrika, author of Coloring Yantras and the creator of the Yantra Bliss Oracle deck. If you want to find out more, the website where you would download your own moon yantra is also
Mm.
how you can connect with Sarah as well. Thanks so much for lighting up our Thursday afternoon on
Thanks
SLN
so
Live,
much.
Sarah. Yeah, I
Thank
kind of don't want to
you.
say goodbye to you, but I think we have to. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.